Saskatoon's art scene has been understandably hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many local theater companies have been forced to entirely either shut down or at least abandon this season. For some theater, though, the show must go on. Some theater, of course, each and every year puts on a great production of Theater in the Park, and they're doing things a little bit differently this year. Very happy to be joined by my friend Heather Morrison, the artistic producer from Some Theater. Heather, thanks for chatting with us. Tell us a little bit about this year's production, Turn, Turn, Turn.
Yeah. Well, as you said, it's been a pretty wild year for everybody, including the arts. And with Theater in the Park, what we typically do is gather about 8,000 people in their local parks to sit shoulder to shoulder and enjoy this community building experience. So it was pretty obvious to us back in March that this wasn't going to be able to happen. What wasn't clear is what would be allowed. And so we threw out all these different possibilities. And what we just basically tried to do was to stay flexible and to stay nimble and on our toes. We started the Some Theater Creation Studio so that we could still stay engaged with the community. We had youth from across the province contributing art that we then used to do creation pieces with us and stay just kind of with our finger on the pulse on that creative tone. And then, the idea that we just all got excited about was the idea of creating something that was like Theater in the Park, and that it builds community and it creates those connections, but that it is a moving piece. So that way we could still go to all these different corners of the city, which Theater in the Park is well known for. We visit 26 different neighborhoods. That way we could still visit them. We're just visiting them in a very different way, but a way that is safe under the guidelines that we're currently living.
Sounds fantastic. I think in some ways, maybe you folks were better equipped to deal with this bizarre situation in which we're all living because over the years you've shown such creativity and you've done such interesting things that in many ways we kind of haven't really seen in recent history in the Saskatoon theater scene. It must have been an interesting process to go through, but did you find that everyone was kind of on board and willing to say, all right, how do we make this work?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially just everybody involved, and it was very funny all along. I think in March and April, and then finally in May, I had some answers. But I actually spent 2 months just calling the same people, all the artists involved, calling our funders, and our sponsors, and just saying, hey, just so you know, I don't know anything. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to try to do something. And that was just the messaging that we kept all along. We're going to try to do something. We're going to try to figure this out. And, especially I have to say the funding bodies, the City of Saskatoon, Sask Lotteries, Canada Council for the Arts, Sask Arts Board, they have just been outstanding in continuing to try to support the arts here in the city and support us on our journey, and their flexibility has been amazing. But I also have to give a shout out to our artists. I was calling them, I said, we're going to try to pull this off. We're going to have way less money, so you may have to be in charge of social media too, besides acting, or you may have to build a prop. Are you going to be okay with it? And they just said, this is just, I want to keep building community. I want to keep being involved with Some Theater. So, just sign me up. Whatever it is, I want to be a part of it. And that was really heartwarming. And I think that sense of community that we have within Some Theater helps us build community with the city as a whole.
Maybe give us an idea a little bit, as much as you can, what the show will look like on a given night. And I know it's going to vary from night to night. It sounds like you're not really following a set script.
Well, it's not a set script, but what it is it's 10 pieces of movement that repeat. So it is the same show. They actually do it twice over the cycle in one neighborhood. But what it will be different is if you happen to come across it twice, you're going to see something different, because it's not meant for people to engage with the whole time. You're not supposed to follow the parade and watch. Oh, sorry, it's not a parade. for being very clear on that. But this parade like theater performance, you're supposed to sit on your front lawn and watch it go by. And whichever part of the movement piece you catch that night, you are so lucky to, have that experience. And somebody else a block away is going to have a different experience. But these pieces that they've created and these songs that they've created are all based off this material that we gathered from kids across the province. So it's really, really exciting in that way.
Outstanding. Of course, now people watching are sitting there thinking, "Okay, how do I know when this is coming to my neighborhood? How do I make a plan to see this?" Now, of course, this in itself is a little bit of a juggling act for very
Yeah.
understandable reasons. Can you give us an idea how people can check out Turn Turn Turn?
Yeah, for sure. So, we really had it in our minds that we wanted to service as many people as possible. But of course, we're working in our own limitations of funding, we're working in our limitations of manpower. So, we can't go to every single street in Saskatoon. So, what we're doing is we're going to the 26 neighborhoods that we normally do theater in the park. And we cannot tell people exactly where we're going to be. But if you go on our website, which is sometheater.com, you go to Turn, 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 you'll see what night we're in your neighborhood. So you'll see what night we're going to be in College Park or that we're going to be in Rosewood. The day of, we will post the more generalized area. So we'll say we're going to be within this sort of 2 kilometer radius. This is where we're going to be performing. And we just encourage people to go out, take a walk, and hopefully catch our show. It's pretty loud. It's like an ice cream truck. So if you're out walking in the area, you'll hear us, you'll be able to find us. But essentially, we're following guidelines that are set out by the province, which say there can be no community events that encourage gathering. So if we say we're going to be on these streets at that time, we're breaking that guideline right there, and that's something we're comfortable doing. We want to do something. We wanted to build community, but there is still a pandemic, and so we have to be as safe as possible.
Absolutely sounds like a very reasonable way to approach this and still get theater to the people, which is, of course, your mandate. I can't even imagine, like, people must be so itching to see something like this. This is probably going to be very well received. People, I'm guessing, are going to be very excited to have theater coming to them in this unique way.
I really hope so. I think that now more than ever, we need the joy that theater can bring, and we need that sense of connectedness. And I know when I just watched a run through the other day with just myself and my son, and it was just the cast there, I was moved to tears. And it brings that sense of normalcy. It brings that sense of hope, that sense of humanness that we all have. So, even if it's just one person that it brings joy, it was worth all the effort. But I'm really actually hoping it will bring joy to thousands of people in Saskatoon.
Outstanding. Well, I can't wait until Turn 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 comes to my neighborhood and I can get outside and take in some of the show. Heather, thanks so much for chatting with us today.
Simon, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.